All right, Jody, thanks so much for being on this podcast. If you could tell the audience, just a little bit about your background and how you got started in the work that you do today, that'd be great.
Sure. I guess like my interests, I guess, kind of stemmed from like my undergraduate studies at Brown, where studied psychology and literature. And then after I graduated from there, I worked as an outreach caseworker in Providence, Rhode Island, working with at-risk children. So I guess like from there, I moved back home with my family in New Jersey after that job, and I worked in child protective services in New Jersey. And I guess like that interest kind of just continued to grow and seeing the need for psychotherapy and just like more like accessibility for especially for children. So I went on to do my master's in social work at NYU. From there, I worked in substance abuse at two outpatient substance abuse programs and at an outpatient child and adolescent psychotherapy clinic in East Harlem. I guess, yeah, I just continue to have that interest in wanting to do clinical work.
Mm-hmm. And so tell me a little bit about the work that you do nowadays.
I'm mainly working with like higher functioning adults struggling with like anxiety, depression, relationship problems. I mean, a few that are like more high risk. Like I'll work with some people that still have like ongoing substance abuse struggles, but who are I guess, in remission, or have been like clean and sober for a period of time. Because a lot of it really is managing anxiety and depression with adults. I work with a few kids still because I do like working with children and families.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the modalities that you use? Because I know there's like cognitive behavioral therapy, ACT, but what about for your particular case?
Because I do use both of those as well as REBT, which is rational emotive behavior therapy, which is, I mean, it's very similar to CBT, but it kind of looks at more of like the specific thoughts and like where those like and usually like different like, kind of like core beliefs somebody may have about themselves, whether that may be like I can't succeed, or I'm always going to, struggle with depression, or I nothing ever works out, kind of like these self-defeating and self-limiting beliefs. And they're like the origins of those beliefs to kind of trace that back to make sense of that and then to kind of like build a new narrative.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of this new modality. Could you sort of unpack that a little bit? Because it seems so new to me.
I mean, a lot of it stems from CBT and a lot of the work from um blanking on his name. Yeah, but it does stem from like cognitive therapy. A lot of the work from Aaron Beck, but it really does kind of look at like what may be considered like an activating events, like something that may happen in childhood,
Mm,
and like how that's tied to beliefs, and then how those beliefs continue to be played out in adulthood.
mm-hmm. So, t tell me a little bit about like what have you learned in doing this kind of work as a mental health professional?
So I've learned that a lot of people do struggle like with like the roots of like anxiety and depression, are very strong and generally based in childhood and adolescence. So understanding that and making meaning of those, experiences and how they continue to, be like core themes in adulthood, and then how to like break out of those themes and do something like change behaviors, change thought patterns, and kind of like creating a different new neural pathway in the brain. So instead of just thinking like that somebody, if somebody's meeting somebody new, for example, and their experience has been that they were teased as kids, just assuming, instead of assuming that this person is going to be, looking at all the things that I don't like about myself, kind of like considering alternate beliefs, alternate like like viewpoints to help kind of like neutralize that negative core belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sort of similar to sort of I remember doing an exercise where my therapist had to she gave me a list of like negative core beliefs and I had to flip that into positive beliefs. I believe they were called affirmations, so that's something sort of see your point there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like sometimes with like the affirmations don't tend to like hold up over time because they may seem like too good to be true. Like instead of like this person, nobody's going to like me. Like if I go like if you go to like a new school or something, the thought is like I've never made friends before, so no one's gonna like me. If you kind of like flip that to everyone's going to like me, I'm gonna make friends. Like that might seem too unrealistic or too unbelievable. So it's kind of like instead of like kind of like flipping it to like something that's like super positive, just making it even neutralizing it,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is like more of a goal with RABT.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything that you'd like to learn in terms of something new as a mental health professional or are curious about to learn?
Because I've been getting more into schema therapy. So I guess like a basic, and this is like the origins of this are like with like learning theory. So we're like Jean Piaget, like cognitive learning theory, where it's like, for example, like the first time like a child may encounter like a dog, like they start to learn like, okay, a dog, they're furry, they have four legs and a tail, they're generally happy. So they kind of like build like this like working model of how then what to expect the next time they meet a dog or encounter a dog. And like that kind of framework for like how they, you know, interact with a dog and what to expect, it evolves, through more encounters and through learning more about, what their experiences are like with a dog. But I guess like what can happen a lot of times that in childhood is there can be like a lack of like what can happen like when things go wrong in childhood, I guess some like basic needs aren't met. There's like abandonment is one that I see a lot.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So it's like, so I guess like there's a young girl that I'm working with now who like there's like just this belief that like her friends are gonna leave her. Like, everyone that she cares about is going to leave her, even though there's no actual like evidence for this, just because this like early maladaptive schema is so strong and ingrained. It's really hard to kind of see things through a different lens. It's like the goal of schema therapy is to modify some of these early maladaptive schemas. And even like with schema therapy, there's different stages of it. So like embedded within it is cognitive therapy. It's like really challenging those, again, those beliefs.
Mm-hmm. So, lastly, to kind of wrap this up, is there any sort of tips, advice that you would give to folks who are wanting to go into the psychology profession that wanna like dip their toe into? Because I don't know what your experience was like, but could you maybe speak on that?
I think if anybody who wants to get involved in this, like you're really like knowing yourself as well, like knowing that you've done some work on yourself. It's because you are like we are, and we're also people, so like we are impacted. So like just having like a good balance in like your own life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alrighty.